and welcome. You are watching NewsX India A-List. In our endeavour to bring forth the stories of some of India's finest and brightest, today we have put together yet another unmissable telecast with India's Who's Who. First up, joining us is Anuradha Gupta, who is the founder and CEO of Vows for Eternity. We also have Vandana Singh, who is the Director of Global Corporate Key Account Management at Saudia Cargo. But apart from this, also joining us is Christopher Roberts, who is the Managing Director of Engage Strategy and the creator of the Total Engagement Model. Let's in fact have a look at these riveting conversations that my colleague Vineet Malhotra has had with these bright and influential luminaries.
Bringing life partners together.
How is it different from some of the other conventional platforms, that people are perhaps tired of, for the lack of a better word?
When you love somebody, give them the wings to fly, give them the roots to anchor them so that, they have something to come back to.
Focus on vows for eternity.
The maneuvers that you had to in fact contend with while getting into this business-wise.
They're looking for quality, they're not looking for quantity, they're looking for curation. They value the emphasis on curation, they value the emphasis on vetting. Very similar to a retained search firm.
NewsX India A-List proudly recognizes Anuradha Gupta for excellence in entrepreneurship.
Hello and welcome to this special program. My name is Vineet Malhotra. You're watching NewsX. Today we're going to be talking to Anuradha Gupta. She's an entrepreneur, a renowned matchmaker, an angel investor, and a dedicated mother of two. As the founder and CEO of Vows for Eternity, a premier matchmaking firm, she channels her passion and profound insights into human psychology and, of course, relationships. With an MBA from Melbourne Business School and a background in leading strategy and marketing of Arsenal FC, Anuradha is a trailblazing entrepreneur who forges a unique path. A self-driven learner, she's currently enrolled in the prestigious Executive Education OPM program at Harvard Business School, further honing her strategic leadership skills. Anuradha, appreciate you taking out the time from your busy schedule and speaking with NewsX. Thank you so much and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vineet. It's a pleasure.
Right. Well, first up, Anuradha, we'll get right into it. Tell us about the inception of the platform, of your brainchild, Vows for Eternity, and how did it all start? What made you realize that this was perhaps a space, a vacuum that needed attention?
It's actually a very interesting story, at least for me, because it was born out of my own personal experience. And I was born and brought up in India. I come from a business background and I was outside India, and I've been outside India for most of my life. And when I was ready to get married, I just found, there was this whole, the typical structure that has existed for years of biodatas, boys and girls exchanging biodatas. And, don't get me wrong, it works for a lot of people. For me, it did not work. I got 2 pieces of paper which spoke about the person's education, height, weight, location, interests, and hobbies. And everybody loves music, everybody loves travel, everybody loves movies, but I don't think those things sustain a marriage. And there's so much more about me as a person, my life experiences, my journey, what I want from life, the journey that I want to travel with a life partner. There was no place in those 2 pages for me to convey that. And that's the reason. And I felt very strongly that there will be other people who feel the same way. It has to be, a marriage is about 2 people coming together. It's a partnership. It's not about the education and the interests and the hobbies. And that's really why Vows for Eternity was born. I didn't see anybody else who could help me at that point. So I, ended up creating something that could help people like me who felt the way I felt at that point.
Let's also talk about the sign of the times. What are the, most essential elements that make for a good partnership, according to you? Matchmaking is no longer about, that Ram Sita ki jodi, the 36 traits that have to match. Even when they do at times, people still end up getting divorced. What do you think is that benchmark today that people should adhere to?
I think people have to follow their heart. I think they have, each of us have to follow, so many times I hear, is there a right age? Is there a right time? Is there for marriage? I just think one has to follow one's heart and do what feels right to us, right? To each individual. I think for the longest time, we've been influenced by what will society say? What will our neighbors say? What will this one say? What will this auntie say if you meet somebody in a marriage? So I think a lot of external things have really influenced what we do and when we do that. And I think we need to take that, it's our life. And each of us need to take that control. Even a lot of times, it's not only for women. A lot of times, guys weren't ready, but that was an expectation, and they did it. So I think we have to sort of take that back into our own hand and say, you know what, I will do it when it feels right to me, when I feel ready. Whether that is, I might want to do it linked to a certain age, and that's fine. Somebody else might want to do it when it feels right to them. For me, it was very clear that I want to get, I was in relationships earlier. We have all had relationships at the age I got married, but it was always been, I wanted to be with somebody I can't live without. You can live with a number of people, but somebody you find you can't live without. That connection was very important to me. And thank God I found him when I was 34. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened. But I think the bottom line is we all need to make our own choices.
Let's talk a little bit more about Vows for Eternity. Well, you say it's a very personalized and it's a confidential service that you render. Please shed some light on what this is really all about, and how is it different from some of the other conventional platforms, that people are perhaps tired of, for the lack of a better word.
We've been here for a decade, and I think it's very true to the reason why we started this in the first place. I think we've always thought, and I think we're a group, bunch of women who over time we've grown as a company. We're in different countries. We've got members in 65 countries. We've got offices across the globe. But I think what has stood the test of time, of course, is marriage, but also our approach to it. We've always believed that it is a partnership at the end of the day. And it is a partnership which has to be based on certain things. For us, that has been, respect, of course, love, friendship, and acceptance. These things are very important in a relationship. And I think it's the mindset that we bring. Of course, there's a process that we've put together over the last decade, which works very well in terms of person A finding person B. And our focus is on trying to understand a person. I think when you understand, when you take out the time and you invest in a person, and which we do with our members, so the more you understand someone, the better you are going to be at connecting that person to someone else. So I think our focus really has been less on, is it person A, B, or C? It is more about, let's get to understand you a lot more. And therefore, it's easier to connect you to somebody who you will naturally gravitate towards. We have always been about arranged introductions. We've never really believed in arranged marriages at our end. It works for a lot of people. That's not something that we do. And that's something that has been consistent. I think there is a very beautiful quote by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, which I really believe sums what we are all about. I think for us, a marriage. So His Holiness says, when you love somebody, give them the wings to fly, give them the roots to anchor them, so that they have something to come back to, and then they will be in it because they want to be in it. And that's really it's not a prison.
Of course. Well said. Let's talk about the business angle as well. How has it been for you navigating this ecosystem business-wise? There are a lot of legacy players who were already in it. So, were there any challenges? Was there any, uphill, maneuvers that you had to, in fact, contend with while getting into this business-wise?
Because we are confidential and we are offline, we've not really had any other legacy business that has been in our neck of the woods. there are a lot of things in the online space. We are not in that space. When people come to us, they're looking for quality. They're not looking for quantity. They're looking for curation. They value the emphasis on curation. They value the emphasis on vetting. We're very similar to a retained search firm. People come to us with a mandate, and we try and do the best that we can. We don't create people, and therefore, we are more facilitators, but we work very closely with people even to identify what is it that they truly want. There's never a you're not creating somebody, so it's never it's never that, hey, this is my 80-point checklist and there's some. But I think we really, with our process, we really help people identify what is it that really defines them, and therefore what is it that they will really be drawn to. A lot of times people say, this is what I want, and we take a step back and say, let's talk about what is it that you are bringing to the table. That should be the starting point.
Makes sense. Anuradha, we've run out of time. Last question. What are your future plans? You are already traversing the globe with this wonderful service. What does the future hold for Voice, a Vows for Eternity?
The future, we have a lot of interesting things that we are working on. We've been working, we pivoted during COVID, and we are really sort of at the way we are right now. We're looking at future expansions into markets that we haven't been into. We are also looking at a newer set of services that we are going to introduce into the markets that we are currently in. Like I said earlier, we're already we have members in 65 countries. We have offices in London, Dubai, New York, Delhi, and Mumbai. We're looking at opening a couple of new offices in the next 12 months. We're looking at increasing our services. We are also looking at, taking this out to foreigners. There has been a great interest from them in the last 6 months, where they've really had their hands burnt with online, and and they really recognize the importance and how this Indian matchmaking is all about. I think so. There's a lot of interesting things we're working on. So, and we've always had the support of our members. So I think it will be what, God willing, it's a very interesting time for us.
Well, I wish you all the best. It sounds very interesting. It sounds very attractive to a number of people who haven't had the opportunity to work things out for themselves. And what you have said makes complete sense. It's time for the world also to embrace something as unique as what VFE is offering. Thank you so much, Anuradha, for taking out the time and speaking with NewsX. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise, Vinay. Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure.